Hi, Bayside kids. This is Sally. Welcome to Lesson 3. David serves the king. And our theme? God helps me do the right thing. Last week, we heard the story of how David, the shepherd boy, killed the giant Goliath and won a great victory for the people of Israel because he trusted God. Today's story is about what happened to David next. After the battle, King Saul wanted to talk to the young lad who had stood up to the giant. David stood before King Saul. The king was amazed at how brave David was, and he immediately made David a part of his army. After he talked with the king, David met the king's son, Jonathan. Jonathan saw what David had done, and he was happy for David. Jonathan gave David his sword, his bow, and even the robe that he wore. And do you know that David and Jonathan became close friends? David was a soldier in Saul's army. Everything David did, he did well. And this made King Saul happy, so the king promoted David to captain. After that, the king and his army marched back to Jerusalem. The people of the towns came out to greet them. As they marched by, the people sang a song. They sang, "Saul has killed thousands of men. David has killed tens of thousands." When Saul heard this song, he became angry. He thought to himself, "They think David is better than I am. Pretty soon, they'll want David to be their king instead of me." From then on, Saul was very jealous of David, and he tried to keep an eye on everything that David did. Remember how David was a shepherd and spent many hours out in the fields with his sheep? Well, to pass the time, David would write songs about God and play them on his harp. King Saul found out that David was a musician, and he would often ask David to play the harp for him when he felt bad, and it would make him feel better. One day, David was playing the harp for King Saul when the king was feeling bad. As David was playing, the king began to get jealous of David. All the king could think about was how the crowds had cheered for David. King Saul thought all the people loved David more than they loved him. The king couldn't help but think that he was going to lose his throne to David. All at once, Saul picked up his spear and he threw it as hard as he could right at David. But David saw it coming. He dodged the spear and ran away from the king. After that, the king was afraid of David. So the king made a plan. He put David in charge of 1,000 men in his army, and he sent David out to fight the Philistine army. The king thought to himself, "I won't have to lift a hand to strike him down. The Philistines will do that." So David led his men out to war. But God blessed David, and he gave him success in whatever he did. The Philistine army kept on attacking the people of Israel, and Saul's army fought against them. David was a brave soldier, and he became a skilled leader. David and his soldiers were more successful than all of the other commanders in Saul's army. And this made the people of Israel love David even more. And this made King Saul even more jealous of David. From that time on, King Saul looked for an opportunity to get rid of David. That's the end of our lesson for today. I'll see you next time. Goodbye!